Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. So I've done a couple of shows on the impact of COVID-19 on restaurants and retail stores, and I thought it'd be interesting to reach out to another business that has been severely impacted, and that is the banquet hall business. And we're joined tonight by Sabrina Agostino, who is the Senior Venue Coordinator and the General Manager of the Atrium Bistro at the Mississauga Grand Convention Grand Banquet and Event Center. It's on Huron, Ontario. It's on Brunel at Huron, Ontario, and the 401 in sort of North Mississauga. Sabrina, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So let's start off and talk about, clearly COVID's had a huge impact on lots of businesses. What's the impact been on the convention business and the event business?
We've been completely shut down for, I want to say, about 16 to 18 months now, has it been? So I guess March was 12, so we're almost in July. It's definitely had a huge impact. It's been hard to like work around the restrictions and even kind of understand the restrictions that they've put in place. There's not a lot of clarity around anything in regards to events, and even for like this reopening plan that they have for step 3, like we still have clients that want to have their events, and they want to, like, we have clients that moved from 2020 to 2021 in hopes that things would have gotten better, we would have had some more guidance, and then we have those same clients that actually moved even to 2022 because there's still no clarity, there's still no guidance. So it's definitely been a challenge.
What have you done with your staff?
All of our staff has been pretty much, laid off, essentially. They do call us and shoot us messages and emails and things, and they want to know, hey, what's going on? Do we have any news? We can't wait to get back to banquet. And the answer we have for them is neither can we.
So what have people been doing for weddings and things like that?
A lot of people have been doing micro weddings. So that's been a new trend that's been in the industry, where they've just cut their guest list, kept it to their most nearest and dearest. We've had to kind of modify our packages a little bit. So we created some micro event packages. I know some other venues have as well. Some people are choosing to do like backyard things or things at their homes or private residences. People are definitely adapting, and they're definitely kind of just going with the flow at this point and changing their minds a little bit.
Now, I understand you've adapted. You've got a drive-through barbecue, and then you've got, what is this, Atrium Bistro. Tell me about those two adaptations.
Yeah, so the Atrium Bistro is actually based off of one of our rooms. We have a beautiful atrium that we do a lot of ceremonies in, and we do like receiving lines and things like that in there as well, for our larger ballroom. So we have always wanted, Sam, the owner, and his family have been in the restaurant business for a long time and in the banquet business. So they said, you know what, let's open up a restaurant, see what we can do. And then we were like ready to open up a patio back in April. And we had like a soft open scheduled for some close family and friends. And we had, the product ordered for the menu, and then they shut us down. So it was a rough go at that as well. But now we finally got the patio up and running, and then barbecue was just a fun way, with the weather starting to get nicer. We thought it would be fun, a little bit different. We don't really have a lot of like fast food places in our area. We have a lot of corporate companies and businesses, so we figured they would want something a little bit different for lunch. So yeah.
And it's a drive-through barbecue, so you can come in and get a hamburger and a hot dog.
Yep, you can come in, you can drive through, you can walk up. We have both. We have Nathan's hot dogs, and all of this includes a drink. Nathan hot dogs, hamburgers, steak sandwiches, and we also added a grilled chicken sandwich as well.
Awesome. And are you calling us from the patio right now?
I am not. I'm off-site today.
I thought you were calling us from the patio. It looked
no.
So what's your plan? Is the patio open now?
Patio is open. We are open Monday to Friday, 11 to 5.
Oh, so it's only a lunch crowd and not an evening dinner crowd.
For right now, yeah, we wanted to stick to kind of that lunch crowd. As the summer kind of goes on a little bit and we get to know, what the clientele is looking like, because we are in a plaza with some other restaurants as well. So we're just trying to sort of gauge what the reaction is going to be and how to structure everything. We are looking at opening a little bit later, but I'm not sure when we have that plan for yet.
But I understand you've got 10,000 square feet inside.
10,000 square feet of like banquet space, yes.
And it's just sat empty for a year and a half.
Yep. So we actually had one of our decorators come in and like decorate one of the rooms, and we have it like fully set up, plates, glasses, cutlery, centerpieces, a backdrop, like everything. So that when we are able to do site visits, and when we have done site visits, our clients are really able to get a feel for the space. We did have a few small events last summer into the fall, but it was only 3. We had one in August, one in September, and one in October. It was about 50 people each.
We're chatting tonight with Sabrina, who is the general manager of the Atrium restaurant at the Mississauga. What is it called? The Mississauga Grand?
Mississauga Grand Banquet and Event Center. Which
is on Brunel at here, Ontario in the 401. About the impact of COVID-19 on the banquet business. We're going to take a break and come back more with Sabrina in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're chatting tonight about the impact of COVID-19 on banquet halls and event centers. And the Mississauga Grand Banquet and Event Center is a 10,000 square foot venue. And owner Sam Stratigas had to pivot pretty quickly into what he could do. I think Sabrina, who's with us tonight, said that they only had 3 events all of last summer. And so what he's done is he's changed this venue to a certain extent, and he's opened up a streamlined pandemic-proof creation and rebranded the Atrium Bistro. He's also opened up a drive-through barbecue, another pivot. I guess, Sabrina, you had to lay off most of the employees, and so that obviously reduces the cost. But you've got a lot of other costs, probably either rent or mortgage payments. How do you deal with that? I presume government support was critical, but was it what you needed? And how are you doing from a cash flow standpoint? Any idea?
From what I know that the process of applying for the rent relief and for any subsidies that we were given or we were eligible to receive was really challenging. Not just for us, but for many others in our industry as well. And I feel like for small businesses in general, I feel like there was a lot of run around and, oh, fill out this form. And now, oh, no, you need to fill out this form, or, oh, no, you're missing this. It was just a lot of like, it wasn't a clear, you need A, B, and C, and then we can go forward with your application. And anytime we called public health, for example, if we wanted clarity on what the regulations were, like the percentage of capacity for ceremonies during the lockdown stage. If we wanted to get any sort of clarity, it took us hours on hold, days or weeks even to get an email response back. And when you did get through to somebody, you got different answers depending on who you talked to. So it really made even trying to schedule or book new events, it really made it challenging, even more so.
Do you know if Sam owns the facility, or does he rent it?
We rent it.
And were you able to get then some of the rental subsidies from the government?
We were. As far as I know, that is running out very shortly. So that's it's going to be tough.
And the whole center must have been devastated, because I know you've got an Indian restaurant, you've got a couple of other restaurants in that same structure.
Plaza. Yeah, we definitely do. And they're, they've been doing takeout since the beginning. So they've, I can't speak, to their finances or anything like that. But they definitely had a little bit of a leg up because they're already known as restaurants. So they know, their clientele already knows, hey, we can order from here, or we can take out from here. And now that they have patios as well, they can go and sit on those patios too.
Has the landlord been helpful in giving extra patio space?
I believe so. I mean, we have one.
But I know some landlords are, making available either some of the grassy areas or sidewalks, or even some of the parking lot spots available to the restaurateurs to do what some of the cities are doing and giving parking spaces to restaurants so that they can put up patios. Has that happened in your mall? Do you know?
We've been pretty lucky because of the way that we're structured. We have like already kind of a sidewalk space, or not a sidewalk space, is like a patio sort of space. It's just not like fenced off or anything. The view is not great because it's just a parking lot. But we've kind of made do. Yeah, I mean, our landlord has been pretty good thus far, with allowing us to do what we need to do. But yeah, we haven't really had to do anything super crazy yet.
And how have you dealt with it?
Myself personally?
Yeah. How long have you been working at the Mississauga Grand?
It'll be, I believe, 4 years in October, 4 or 5.
And in what positions?
Yeah. As an assistant event coordinator, and then moved my way up to, well, I did operations manager as well, and then moved my way up to senior venue coordinator.
And what does the senior venue coordinator do?
So I am responsible for basically being the liaison from the clients to our back of house and to our kitchen staff, making sure that all their menu choices get communicated appropriately, like allergies, dietary restrictions, setup requirements. I basically make sure that all of their wants and everything is all set up, ready to go for when they show up. And then I'll introduce them on the day of. Usually I'm the one that's introducing the clients to their banquet captain and the operations manager.
So you're like J-Lo and the wedding planner.
Kinda, yeah.
Fun. So we talked about, weddings, and people have gone to these virtual weddings or to micro weddings. Do you think the wedding industry is going to change, or is it going to come back and people are going to have the big receptions that they always had?
It's a little bit of both. I feel like these micro weddings have kind of shown people that they can have the wedding they want for less, with less people. But I also at the same time feel like the traditional, like European, Italian, Greek, Portuguese, like they're going to want the 200 people weddings. And normally what we would say as coordinators or as a planner, you would say, typically 20% of your guest list is not going to come. So if you have 200, expect about 180. I don't think that's the case this year. I feel like if you have 200, expect 200.
Really? Everyone wants to get out and party again.
Everybody wants to celebrate and party. Absolutely.
Really? That's interesting. What about the corporate events? I go to an annual Mississauga Board of Trade event that's in your facility. I know that I've gone to a bunch of political speeches in your facility. I imagine you've also got corporate annual meetings and events like that. Is that going to come back, or is all that going to go virtual, do you think?
We hope so. We have gotten a few inquiries for some corporate meetings. So we really, really hope that they come back. The other option is, some people are choosing to keep the virtual thing. So we do catering, we do box lunches, and that's something that we can deliver or pick up, or like our clients can arrange for a pickup as well. I think that the corporates might take a little bit longer to get back into the swing of things than the weddings and the social events will. And
your staff, you say that you laid them all off and you've been communicating with them, or they've been communicating with you. Do you think you're going to have to, recruit from scratch and hire a whole new workforce? Because a lot of them must have been out looking for jobs.
Yeah, I think there's going to be that select few that will definitely, come back. And those are the ones that have, reached out to us and kind of kept in contact and kept in touch. But I definitely think that we're going to have to look at hiring some new ones when the time comes.
Now, some people are talking about vaccine passports, and some offices have even got, temperature controls. Have you given any thought to, what you might be doing in regards to requiring people to prove they've been vaccinated? Do you think that's going to happen, or is that going to be only if the province demands that? And what about, checking everyone's temperature as they come in?
Yeah. So for all the staff members, when they come in, they do fill out a questionnaire. Have you been outside on Ontario in the last 14 days? Have you been in contact with anyone who has? Do you have any of the symptoms that are unexplained, runny nose, fever, cough, sore throat, all that stuff? We do take temperature checks of all the staff when they come in. And we keep a log of that as well. That's daily. And that goes for everybody from the chef to myself, you know. I think that's important to have, just as not only as like a safeguard for us, but to show our guests, like our guests and our clients are our family. They mean so much to us. And, you know, it's really important that we keep not only our staff safe, but their guests safe. That's super important to us. As far as vaccine passports go, or like requiring people to be vaccinated, I feel like it's almost like a personal preference. I've seen both kind of aspects to it. Like, you know, why do I have to say that? Or why do I have to, like, why do I have to prove that I am? But I think that'll be only if the government requires. We try to stick to whatever they're telling us to do.
Are you asking employees if they have been vaccinated?
To be honest, most of our employees have openly told us and have been very excited about it. So that's, you know, really good to know from our end. But again, that personal preference, we can't pry. If they want to share, then that's amazing.
What if a customer, a client came and said they wanted to have an event, but only wanted to have vaccinated servers?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think we would have to look into, you know, the human rights code and just to make sure that, you know, we're not violating anything there. We'd have to have a meeting about that one.
Okay. I think it's going to be interesting because I do think that there's going to be, and maybe hopefully we don't have this issue in Canada because vaccine hesitancy is so low and people are, as you say, just getting the vaccine and getting excited about it. But
yeah,
I think there's a good, you know, as you may know, Bruce Springsteen and the whatever the
Foo Fighters,
opened up in Times Square, but only to people that could prove they had had 2 vaccines and that the vaccines were American approved vaccines. So I couldn't go because I've got AstraZeneca for one of my vaccines and that's not American approved.
Yeah. I think that was changed relatively quickly because of the kind of backlash I think they received. I don't know if it's so much as, like I said, if it comes down to the government saying, you know, hey, you need to have X amount of vaccine or, you know, these vaccines to be able to do X, Y, and Z. I would personally, and I feel professionally, and I think I'm not alone when I say this, is I would just like to know as a vaccinated person or as a non-vaccinated person what I can and can't do safely. That's it. Just some sort of guidance.
Well, and, you know, lots of people have been complaining about that. And, you know, the CDC in the United States has come out with guidance in that regard. And we haven't had that guidance in Canada, you know, in the United States. Yes. They say if you're vaccinated, double vaccinated, and the other person is double vaccinated, you can hug, you can get together, you can fly. You know, there's a whole bunch of different things. But, you know, as we all know, the vaccine doesn't stop you from getting the virus. It helps you fight it off. And so you can get the virus and you can transmit it to others. But hopefully, because you've got the antibodies in your system, what you do is you fight it off fairly quickly, if not almost immediately. And that's why you don't get sick and you don't go to hospital, but you still can be a carrier of the virus. And so hopefully what we do is we get herd immunity and it just can no longer transmit. But it's interesting that the first events in New York that have opened up in indoor spaces, granted, because it's different in the southern United States that opened up kind of events in open air spaces, but in closed in closed spaces that they've required proof of vaccinations. And it's been government, but it's also been private enterprise that's been requiring this. And so I think it's going to be interesting for your business in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, if not maybe months, probably in the fall. You'll have to give some thought to what you do and how you do it. So what do you think the government should do? You know, there's, you know, when I think about all the event space in Mississauga and around the GTA, you've been devastated. And, you know, restaurants have been devastated, but they've at least got to open patios a couple of times. What should government be doing to help your business?
The government, I mean, again, if you ask, everybody's going to have their own opinion on what the government should do or shouldn't do. I think that we just need more clarification on what we're allowed to do. For example, the 25% capacity for ceremonies. But when we were back in gray zone in like April, May, banquet halls were not on that list. So they need to, I feel like, classify banquet halls as a banquet hall and not as a restaurant, or not as, or even if like the rules for the restaurant applies to the banquet hall, it needs to be clearly stated. And it needs to say like, this is what you're allowed to do. This is what you're not allowed to do. I feel like just that clarity is going to help immensely, because then there's not going to be that confusion, and there's not going to be like, well, these banquet halls are in this region are doing this, and then these ones are doing this. So that is what I've found has been pretty frequent is lots of people are like, oh, well, in Durham region, they're doing this, or in Toronto, they're doing this, or in Waterloo, they're doing this. And then when that was one of the things when we were like, oh, well, we can't really open yet. We can't do this. We can't do that. People are like, well, I know other places that have. And it's just like, well, should they be? Like, what do? You don't want to turn away the business, but you also don't want to break the law. So I feel like just that clarity will help.
What's your message to any bride or groom, but probably the bride and the bride's father and mother, that's thinking about getting married in 21, 22, 23? Are you?
Well, I'm one of them. I'm one of them. So
congratulations.
Thank you. I think
Are you going to have a big party?
Well, I'm Italian, so I don't really have a choice. I think my message to all of my couples and all of the others that are listening, and the parents and the maid of honors and the bridesmaids and everybody, be kind is probably the biggest one. And just because there are some places or some vendors that are doing things that maybe you wouldn't like, keeping deposits or not rescheduling or whatever have you, not all of us are doing that. So just keep an open mind when you're talking to venues. Ask the questions, because they're going to have answers now. If they don't have answers, that might be a red flag, but that's just for me. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's the bride and groom's day. It's about family and celebrating, whether that be with 5 people, 50 people, 100 people, or 500 people. You should have the wedding you want. You shouldn't have to compromise on it if you don't have to.
Okay, now the most important question. I heard that there was this wedding where the mother of the bride demanded all of the wedding party have vaccinations, and one of the bridesmaids was a anti-vaxxer and refused to get vaccinated, and the mother of the bride told her daughter that she had to exclude that bridesmaid from the wedding party. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's the mother of the bride's choice. The bride has a relationship with the bridesmaid, and ultimately, again, it comes down to that personal choice. If the bride chose, hey, I don't. This is not what we want. You can come, but you can't be a part of the wedding. It's a tough spot to be in, but I don't think that's the mother of the bride's decision to make. Sabrina
Agostino of the Mississauga Grand Banquet and Event Center, thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling us a little bit about your business and about the new venue you've opened up called the Atrium Patio. And tell us, is there a website that people can check out if they want to call you up and get you to be J-Lo, the wedding planner for them?
Absolutely. So we have a link to a page on the Mississauga Grand website. It's www.mississaugagrand.com/atrium-bistro. And you can make a reservation. We have the Calendly link there. We have the menu there. You can call us. We do pickup. We do delivery. And we're looking at also doing some small private events on the patio as well. And then there's also links to, obviously, the packages for the banquet hall when people are ready to have events, and the catering as well.
Sabrina, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Stay with us. We're going to come back in just a minute.